This will be my 30th derby as clerk of the course at Epsom. So that takes me back to 1996 and Charmit and every one of them since then. Someone said to me a year or so back, you've done more than sort of 10% of every derby run in history, which you have. You've done, that many, and there've been derbies since 1780. Yeah, you're well into the 10% territory. It's been an honour and a privilege really to do it for that period of time. It's flown by, I have to say. I mean, you stop and think, each derby brings memories and particular challenges, and some have gone better than others and whatever, but every one is magical because it's a magical race and it's a magical place. When you've got a 3-year-old only race, as the Derby is, sort of regularly making the top 20 worldwide races, if you're using something like the Longines rankings as a guide, when you're dealing with 3-year-olds, some of whom maybe have only run once or twice, haven't yet probably established their full rating, to be constantly maintaining that level of quality within the race, personally, I don't think there's a huge amount wrong with it. I think one of the great things, the real things I take great sort of pride and pleasure in is the fact that, See the Stars and Galileo, who are probably my two favourite Derby winners on the day, have gone on to sire Derby winners, with Harzan and See the Stars, and Galileo with, umpteen Derby winners. I think that's surely what it is still all about. There comes a point in this job, whether you're running a quiet, sort of race meeting on a Thursday afternoon at Sandown or the Derby, that you get to the race day, and particularly the start of racing, where if it's the last day of the meeting, particularly, where you've done all you can, your work is done, you haven't got any decisions to make about watering, or do we do this, or do we cut that, or do we move that rail. You're sort of, your work in a sense is done, and all the stuff that causes you the sleepless nights and the anxiety and the fretting in the build up to it, is in a way dissipates once you get into that sort of race day timing. I find a huge sort of release of pressure when you get to the certainly to the end of a race meeting, when hopefully it's gone well, but even when you get to that point of the day where you've got no more sort of big decisions to make is quite nice. I remember stood over the other side of the course there at 6 a.m. on Oaks Day, speaking to a Met Office forecaster and saying, how do you think today is going to develop? And they said they were encouraging in terms of even within that time frame. And yes, as you say, it started raining and just kept coming. I think we ended up with best part of half an inch of rain on the day. So I still look back. I think as long as you can look back and think that the decisions you've made in the build-up were the right decisions that you could make at the time based on the information that you had, then that's okay. I think I took issue. I saw someone, I think even at that time, talks about the watering fiasco or something in the build-up to the race meeting. Well, I don't think it was. I think we made the calls were right. It just did turn against us, if that's the right phrase, went unexpectedly on Oaks Day itself. But the remarkable thing about this place is you can come back 24 hours later and actually be racing on something pretty decent. And I think we ended up running the Derby on good to soft. It wasn't a desperate, which is often the case, because this place is incredible at getting, drying and getting rid of water through the chalk. To be able to stage a Derby here in 2020, albeit with nobody here and whatever, but to have a 2020 winner of the Derby at Epsom was the cause of huge sort of personal pride. This is a very, very special place, Epsom. And as you know, there are some thoughts and some discussions going on about what maybe the race meeting could or should look like going forward. And I certainly and would hope to play my part in that discussion and getting it on as positive a footing as it can be. I do think from a racing point of view, purely from a racing, and just divorcing that from in a sense, the wider commercials of it, I do think that what we currently have are two spectacular days racing. I first came up here as a boy of about 10 with my dad, actually, who my mum grew up not far from here, and I remember I just started an interest in racing. As I say, I'd probably be about 10 at the time, and I remember just standing on this home straight, just thinking that this can't be right. Racecourses can't be sort of bent, tipped like that, and hills like that. But no, no, I'd like to be playing my part in it for a few years to come, I think.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.